Today I want to do a little comparison on the features and benefits between the Monti and the Sigma. For the last month and a half, 2 months, I've been trying to use the Monti almost all the time. And so I've gotten a pretty good feel for it, for both its advantages and disadvantages. The first thing I want to say as far as cut quality, they're close enough that you really can't say one's better than the other. I think I still like my Sigma a little bit better, but the cut quality is so close that I wouldn't consider that to be a win at either space. Obviously we're doing a 36 versus a 24, but I think that fits it. The first thing that I want to talk about with the two of them is stashing, how they stash. And as you can see, they're both designed to collapse together well. The Sigma has a spot where it goes right into, and then that's a plug that's been put in, and it's designed so that way that literally sits right there. The Monti, on the other hand, is very quick to set up and take down. One of the interesting features about the Monti is the way that the cutter assembly sticks right in this area here for transport. That has another unique feature, that the point of balance was right there, and actually they say that this is how you can pick it up. They even show throwing it over the arm. We're going to go ahead, take these over and set them down and work them a little bit. One of the other things that's quickly apparent between these two cutters is the fact that the Sigma bar is towards you, whereas the Monti's bar is set up to go away from you. Now, I normally use the Walt wet saw stand to hold these, but that is not the case today. Just because we're going to do a direct show here. It was raining when I took them out. The Monti got a bit wet. And that's another good thing that I like about them. Aside from the bars, which are heavily chrome plated, everything else in them are aluminum, except for these, which are galvanized steel. They're both designed to push in. The other thing, both of them, we just use WD-40 to lube them up. One of the things that I'm going to say as a comparison with the bars. For the most part, on one-off cuts, the Sigma bar is much superior to the Monti bar. And the reason is, the Sigma bar starts at basically a 1/4 inch and goes all the way across with no breaks, and you can see exactly where your cuts are. Whereas the Monti bar also starts about a 1/4, maybe 3/8 in, breaks again at here at about 1 inch, breaks again at this 2 to 3, then has a problem right here at the 16, and also breaks at the 7 to 8. Now, I was told that they're going to get rid of these areas, these Master Puma and the Montolit add-ons to this. But one of the problems specifically with this one here, a 24-inch cutter, is we're going 1/3, 2/3 offset, and we have the Montolit label and the rollover right at where that 1/3, 2/3 is. And so it makes it quite inconvenient for that. However, on the other side of it, there's a couple of things that I really like about the way this one sets. One is, I said again that I just use a wet saw stand to set them on, is right here, you can put a tape measure. So you make your mark, you figure out what it is, you can set your tape right there, and then go ahead and make your cuts. The other thing that I really didn't know I liked a lot, but I've ended up really liking, is the fact that we have this adjustable stop that's always on and legitimately can flip out of the way. They have a couple of clips here and here that are designed so that way we have very little side to side, so that way we accurately can use this. The other nice thing is this goes all the way into about 3/4 of an inch when you're using it. So I have been surprised at how handy I find this. Matter of fact, I would give that a strong, that's a feature I really like. I'm really impressed with this adjustable stop that allows you to cut multiples. That in some ways may offset the fact that this is 1/3, 2/3, and it's not easy to read because you can just set this at the 2/3 area. And then when you need to make a different cut that impedes into it, you just fold that out of the way. So that may be one thing. The other thing that I really like about this cutter that surprised me is the fact that to finish up for the day or finish up and move it, you just slide this forward, roll this over, slide this in, bring that in, and there, now it's ready to move. It's all together. You can't lose it. I've often worried about losing the turn knob here, but going back to a different feature now that I don't necessarily like about the Monti is our spring-loaded holder. It only has one, it's only designed for one, and it doesn't hold well. It leaves things to be desired, especially when you're doing longer planks. Whereas this particular, the one on the Sigmas, now I realize this one has both wings, but this is set up really well to handle even 36-inch planks because just the way these arms are designed, they fold and come out in such a way that they support that plank the whole length. Whereas this one here, you know, you have all this spot and it's very, very floppable. Trying to think of what else. The last thing that I want to talk about with these arms is the fact that the Sigmas, you measure and cut with the arm behind you. Now the first Sigmas I had were the old 25-inch earlier models where they were like this one. And when I got this, I'm like, why would you push against and away from your line? But what I found out is you can put it here and you can run it, and you can run it all the way out 36 inches just from behind. And I found that this actually is much more ergonomic as far as getting in, seeing what's going on, than this bar where you're doing larger ones and you kind of have to stay behind the tile, and so it's harder to get up here and read. Once again, showing how easy this is. The other thing that I did want to mention while I'm at it, here's your stop for your 45 or your 90. Very simple, just lock it in. But here, you're stuck, if you're doing like 12 by 24, you're stuck behind this to read, or you have to work off to the side, which is fine, but it's just something to consider as far as space and use. And if you take a look here, these cutters, while there's a foot difference, there's not a lot of actual usable, you know, all the way back. They actually come within about 4 or 5 inches of each other, even though this is a foot longer as far as the cutting ability. Like I said, they both cut super fine. This one here got an infinitely adjustable cutter right here. Whereas this one here, you dial it in when you have thinner or thicker tiles. So that's really all I have to say about its features and benefits. I think if I was doing a lot of plank work, I would go with the Sigma, mainly for the fact that you can go ahead and these arms hold it better, and you have a better all-around bar measurement. The other thing I want to mention is a lot of people with the Sigmas have said you can't see the cutter, but the way this works, that wheel has made a mark right here that's 0. And all you have to do is take your mark, put it to there, and it's on. Because the wheel has actually made this mark. It's not one that has been put in beforehand. This is actually accurate to the mark. So if I want 14, I come to 14 and it works, or I make my mark and I put it there and it works. And so if I was doing a lot of plank work, I think I'd go with the Sigma. If I was doing a lot of work where I needed a lot of multiple cuts of the same, I really like this flip up feature here of the Monti. In the end, I don't think that I don't think there's a lot of reasons against either of these two cutters, but you know, I bought the Monti because they were out of the Sigma Maxes in 25 at the time. So, all right, thank you much.